Yeah. طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Tonight's class is from Ad-Durar Al-Bahiyyah في المسائل الفقهية. Last week we spoke on the Iddah, what's meant by the Iddah, and many of, if not most of, the most important, most basic, most necessary rulings of Iddah, wisdoms behind it, so on and so forth. So tonight's lesson will be a branch of last week, a follow-up, an extension of the concept of Iddah, and the wisdom of the Iddah, and some of the most important rulings of the Iddah. The author, rahimahullah ta'ala, says, Faslun. وبين, then we have a bracket that says, في الاستبراء. يجب استبراء الأمة المسبية والمشترات ونحوهما بحيضة إن كانت حائضا والحامل بوضع الحمل ومنقطعة الحيض حتى يتبين عدم حملها ولا تستبرأ بكر ولا صغيرة مطلقا ولا يلزم البائع ونحوه. Question here, or the issue that we have with us tonight, is a branch of the Iddah, same but different, and that is with regards to the status of the woman who has the Iddah, and the status and the standing of a woman who was with another man or could have possibly been with another man before she's going to become or be with a new man, cohabitate with a new man, etc. In Islam, one of the most important principles of social life is a recognition or recognizing of lineage, to recognize lineage, and to differentiate and to distinguish between lineage, and not to recklessly mix and match and jumble between lineage and genealogy. Everyone understand this? Like we explained last week with regards to the garden that's been watered by a gardener, is not to be watered again until it's clear that the flowers, the weeds, the vegetables have grown or died, and then it's a new harvest. It's a new harvest. And there cannot be no reckless mixing and matching. A woman is married to a man, she leaves a man, she's divorced by a man, she divorces the man, and she jumps into another marriage with another man, and she sleeps with him, and then 9 months or 8 months later she has a child, and the two men come and they fight over whose child it is. Who does the child belong to? Is it my son? Is it your son? We don't know. Everyone understand this? Because there was more than one gardener watering that garden at the time of watering. Everyone understand this? So we have confusion at the time of harvest. So therefore Islam shuts this door and it closes this off, but without any extremes, an extended period of waiting. Everyone understand this? As long as the time is passed by and the necessary amount of days or months have passed by, and then khalas, a new gardener comes along. Whether that woman, regardless of her stature and her standing, she could be a free woman, or she could be a woman that is a captive. Everyone understand this? She could be a woman that was married, a woman that was raped, a woman, etc. Al-Muhim, there was a man who slept with her, and there's the possibility of her conceiving and bearing a child. So before that woman goes on to another man and sleeps with another man, her husband, or whatever the case may be, we have to be clear that she is not bearing the child or the seed of another man. Everyone understand this? Whether that woman is a free woman or whether that woman is not a what? A free woman. Whether she was married, whether there was another type of relations between her and a man, even while the other billah may not protect and prevent this from happening, if a woman was raped and oppressed and wronged, but a man slept with her, there's a chance that she now what? Bears a child from that man. So before she goes into marriage or anything else, there has to be a what? Istibra. Istibra. We have to make sure that there is nothing else from no one else. And that is for the purpose of genealogy and lineage not to be mixed and confused. Who's my father? Who's the father of the child? Everyone understand this? And we all know the chaos that takes place when people's lineage and people's genealogy is cut off, is broken off, is confused and is disturbed. A son grows up, he doesn't know who his father is. A girl grows up, she doesn't know who her father is. He doesn't know who I belong to, my race, my country, my ethnicity, and the list goes on. It's a huge problem, and we've seen much of that. We've seen much of that. Everyone understand this? So that's what the previous chapter was about, the Iddah, and specifically it's about this tonight as well, but a different type of woman. A different type of what? Of woman. And that is not a woman who is married, but a woman who is an Emma, a woman who is a slave. Regardless of how she became a slave, why she became a slave, al-muhim, she's a slave. And the owner of that woman, the master of that woman, wishes to have relations with her. He cannot have relations with her until there is istibra, even if it wasn't an iddah period from marriage. Everyone understand this? Or even if he came across that slave woman and he was unsure or he didn't know who she was with or wasn't in the past. Another person who owned her, a man who raped her, etc. Everyone understand this? Before he can have relations with her, he has to make sure that her womb is empty. And that is al-istibra. Everyone understand this or not? Here we're not talking about the rulings of slavery. Here we're not talking about the history of slavery. Tonight we're not discussing anything pertaining to the dynamics and demographics of slavery. That's not what we're talking about tonight. We're only talking about kitab al-talaq and the Islamic rulings of a woman who is a slave, what she must do before she is with a man, and what the man must do before he is with her. If that man has purchased that slave woman or received her, whatever the manner may be. We're not here to talk about none of those controversial, delicate, emotional issues tonight, or right now. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this? We've spoken about them before. We've tried to shed light upon the concept of slavery, of war, and this and that in the past. Right now, we're not talking about that right now. We're just dealing with the rulings. Play it. So the author, rahimahullah ta'ala, it says here in the English translation, copulation with female captives. A female captive. What they call it, a slave, or a concubine, or a right-hand possession, right? Or an odalisque. Whatever word or terminology is used. Tayyib. He says here, a female captive or a bought female slave or those who are similar must not be touched until each of them goes through a menstrual course. If she menstruates, but if pregnant, until she delivers her baby. As far as the woman who does not menstruate any longer, she must not be touched until it is clear that she is not pregnant. This does not affect a virgin or a minor, as it is also not biting over the seller or his like. What does this mean? What is the meaning of this speech in Arabic and in English? It says in Arabic, يجب استبراء الأمة المسبية. الأمة المسبية is a female that was captured. She's a captive of war, meaning there were two parties who fought. Obviously, one party defeated the other, former the latter. Most of the men are dead, injured, captives of war. Of course, in the city or the town or the citadel or the castle, there's going to be an abundance of women and children. Fatherless children, husbandless women, fatherless women, etc. So what happens to those women? Are they neglected? Are they put to the blade? Are they killed? Are they sold? Etc., etc., etc. So we have a woman who is considered to be now, she's a slave. Her side, unfortunately, was the losing side, regardless of Islam or not. Just talking about just war, people fighting, right? The Mongols versus the Byzantines, etc. Whoever's fighting, right? It doesn't just have to be specific to Muslims. Everyone understand this? She was on the losing side now. So now, her life, her property, everything is now property of the what? Of the victors, of the men who won. Everyone understand this? The men who won. Everyone understand this? No matter of how you feel, is this moral, is this correct? It's not the what? That's not the point right now. We're just dealing with reality. So therefore, she's a slave woman. This slave woman was not purchased in a slave market or slave auction. This slave woman was not passed down as inheritance. Understand? This slave woman was not gifted. Everyone understand this? Rather, the slave woman was captured. Everyone understand the difference? That's number one. Moving forward, he says, wal mushtara, and a slave woman who is purchased, meaning she wasn't what? Captured by you. There was no fighting by you. Everyone understand that she was captured by someone else? Forced, captured, sold into slavery, al-muhim. You go to the market and you say, I wish to purchase this woman, and she becomes my slave. Everyone understand this? Scenario number 2. It's not the first scenario. It's what? The second scenario. Scenario number 3, he says, وَنَحْوِهِمَا. He says, and any woman similar to these two types of women, meaning a woman who was what? No, a woman similar, right, either captured or purchased. Who will be similar to them? Gift. A father has 10 female slaves, and he says to his son, they're now yours. The son now does what? He owns them. Or the father dies. His property, his wealth, his estate is set up among his sons and his daughters. You now own a slave, and she's a female. So she wasn't captured by you. She wasn't purchased by you. That's what's meant by وَنَحْوِهِمَا. And anyone like the first two. Everyone understand this? So therefore, in Al-Islam and in other religions, not just Islam or other ways of life, there is that which is called concubinage. And concubinage is the legal and lawful relations that the master of a female slave and the female slave are allowed to have. Everyone understand this? It is not considered to be fornication or adultery. It is not considered rape. It is not illegal, but in that legal system, it's what? Lawful. But before that man has intercourse with that woman, he must do what? He must wait a what? A menstrual cycle. Not 3 months, not 3 menses, but what? 1. And that is for lineage not to be mixed up. For lineage not to be mixed up. She's pregnant with another man who owned her, or who raped her, or who captured her, and then he sleeps with her, and the child comes. And someone coming from another man's loins, and you don't know about it, is going to be chaotic. The woman, the man, he grows up, he enters upon non-mahram women, inherits from you, you inherit from him. The real father comes back to kill you. That's my son that you stole from me, that you raised. He has my blood in him. That's going to be a huge problem now. Everybody understand this? It's not a small issue anymore. It's a huge problem. Or the child grows up and he says, you're not my what? You're not my father. And he kills you in your sleep. Or kills you when you're awake. Because you're not my father. You took my mother, you raped my mother, you're not my father. So Islam, with all of its wisdom, it does what? Prevents all of this. And that is that the woman must have the what? Haydah. She must have one menstrual what? One menstrual cycle. Moving forward. That's if she actually has a menstrual cycle, meaning she's of age and she has normal, regular what? Menstrual cycle, just like a free woman, like we mentioned. Yeah? Moving forward. He says, وَالْحَامِلُ بِوَضْعِ الْحَمَلِ. And a woman who's pregnant must give birth. He cannot sleep with her until she does what? Gives birth. She gives birth. Now a woman asks, well, what's the wisdom behind that? Why can't he sleep with her? It's clear that she's pregnant. There's no mixing of lineage. Everyone understand this? Allahu Alam, what's the wisdom behind that according to the author? Moving forward, he says, وَمُنْقَطِعَةِ الْحَيْضِ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ عَدَمُ حَمْلِهَا. And a woman who has lost hope from her menses. Her menses don't work. Her menses are extremely irregular, extremely abnormal. It's some type of way that the people have to figure out that she's not what? Pregnant. That she's not pregnant. That she isn't what? That she isn't pregnant. Everyone understand this? She is or she isn't. Everyone understand this? And of course, modern medical science can be used with regards to this as well. But it doesn't mean that modern medical science alleviates the Iddah period. I don't have to wait because she had a pregnancy test. A pregnancy test could be what? Wrong. Could be incorrect. It could be incorrect. Or a person may say, if there is a pregnancy test and it's proven that she isn't pregnant, then it's no istibra. Everyone understand this? That's a long discussion. The concept of determining if a woman is pregnant or not is not new. It's not even modern medical science, to be honest with you. You read many ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptians, they had ways of determining if a woman was pregnant or not. And the interesting fact is that their methods were very similar to the methods used today. All right, the different ways of getting a pregnancy test, right? We know the simple, easy way. The woman takes the thing, she goes to the restroom, so on and so forth. We get a red line or not, blah, 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 right? The ancient Egyptians, it is said that when a woman was thought of being pregnant, or they feared or they wanted to know, they were to make her also relieve herself, urinate, on certain types of crops, certain things, yeast, hay, wheat, things like this. And depending on what color the crops would turn or what would happen, that would determine what is in her urine of she's pregnant or not. Similar to what? Very similar to today. So it's not necessarily a new thing. So with that being said, if these methods were known of people of the past, and the Prophet still told us to do the Iddah, then we say what? We still what? Still do the Iddah period. Everyone understand this? And this is bigger and deeper and greater than just the issue of menstruation or the concept of is she pregnant or not. But it goes to show you that many people today, they're tricked and they're deceived by the worldly life and by technology, which is amazing and mind-boggling and spine-tingling. SubhanAllah, the things that they do today, the technology, where it has reached. And these are the things that we have. Imagine what did the poet say? The government got. Imagine the things that the stuff that they have. Everyone understand this? There's one person I spoke with, won't mention who it is. We talking about GPS. And unfortunately, Allah Mustaan, yani, he worked for the government, creating and designing the GPS, quote unquote, used for their fighter jets and their planes and stealth bombers and things like this. He says the stuff you guys have in your car is what? Nothing. Pinpoint accuracy, the mosquito's wing. Bomb. Done. Over. Finished. The person doesn't even know what? Literally doesn't know what hit him. Literally. You talking about a painless death, someone... No, it's what? Evaporated within seconds. And they don't even realize it. Pinpoint accuracy. So if you think that the GPS that you have in your car or your phone or your navigation system is amazing, the blocks, the traffic, a police officer was spotted, what do they call it, a Waze, things like this. The stuff that they have is what? Way beyond. Everyone understand this? But it makes you say subhanallah. But many people, they're tricked by the technology and the advancements, and they don't realize that the people of the past had things that were similar or what? Greater, with less technology, less computers, less satellites. And they reached feats, and they did things off of just pure ingenuity, pure skill, pure force of will that people to this day still can't figure out. And there's a lesson to be taken from that as a Muslim. Everyone understand this? There's a lesson to be taken from that. And many Muslims, as I said, they're tricked and they're deceived, they're duped by the dunya. And the non-Muslims have this and they have that. And everything is so different. So the religion has to change. The rulings have to change. We can't say this anymore. We don't have to do this anymore. We don't have to eat like this no more. We don't have to dress like this no more. Things are not the same as they were back then. And we know that some of that is true and a lot of it is what? False. And the more you study and the more you read these different books of history, you realize that there were people back in the day that were smarter, stronger, more dedicated, more talented. They didn't need no laser thing to guide them. They did the thing what? By hand. Pure, raw talent and skill. Everyone understand this? So Allah Azza wa Jal, He has given His servants different means of mercy. And when we think that we have it all, and we figured it all out, and modern science determines what is correct and incorrect in religion, and what the Quran says that's against modern science and astronomical facts and so on and so forth, we fall into major problems. That's the point that I'm trying to get to. Everyone understand this? Everything is not created and made and invented in 2019. People have been doing things what? Very long time ago. Better, if not equal, etc. Moving forward. He says here, so a woman who doesn't have menses, it has to be clear that she is in what? Aywa. And that is with how many months? 3 months. 3 months, like the previous chapter. Moving forward. He says, وَلَا تُسْتَبْرَأُ بِكْرٌ. A woman who's a captive or bought or whatever, who's a virgin, there's no what? Istibra. Proving that she is impregnant. وَلَا صَغِيرَةٌ مُطْلَقًا. Nor a woman who is young. A captive who is what? Young. Whatever is going to happen, whatever is going to take place, there is no what? There's no istibra whatsoever. Moving forward, he says, وَلَا يَلْزُمُ الْبَائِعَ وَنَحْوَهُ. And anyone, the seller of the captive, وَنَحْوَهُ, someone similar, doesn't have to do this. The captor, whoever, the one who's passing it down, the one who's taking the possession of the servant to another man, is not his job to what? To do that. But it's going to be the one who what? Receives it. That's his job. Everyone understand this? So you can't go and say, well, hey, is she pregnant or not? They say, well, I don't know. That's not my job. That's not my concern. Are you interested or not? Everyone understand this? Right, moving forward. The next chapter, the author rahimahullah ta'ala says, باب النفقة تجب على الزوج للزوجة والمطلقة رجعيا لا بائنا ولا في عدة الوفاة فلا نفقة ولا سكنة إلا أن تكون حاملتين وتجب على الوالد الموسر لولده المعسر والعكس وعلى السيد لمن يملك ولا تجب على القريب لقريبه إلا من باب صلة الرحم المشروعة ومن وجبت نفقته وجبت كسوته وسكناه. The next chapter says here in English, spending on women. باب النفقة. And a more correct or sound translation will be spending, because it's not specific to women. باب النفقة. The money that you must give with regards to family maintenance. This is obviously connected to divorce, connected to talaq. And that's because if a woman is divorced, how long she's divorced, how many times she's been divorced, there's a what? A nafaqah that has to be spent. A woman who's a widow, pregnant, breastfeeding, etc. What is to be paid to a woman? Everyone understand this? Family court, right? Child support, alimony, things like this in our modern times. Everyone understand this? What is the amount of money that has to be given to a what? Your hard-earned dollars. They have to be what? Given, Everyone understand this? Khairan, inshallah. The author, he says, the husband must provide for the wife. And for a divorced wife that can still be taken back, not a woman in an irrevocable divorce, and a woman in the iddah for a lost husband, nor will there be any shelter for them except they are pregnant. It is obligatory on a well-to-do father to take care of his poor son, and vice versa. So also is a master to his slave. It is, however, not binding upon one close relation to another close relation, except from the angle of joining ties of kinship. Whomever one must spend on, it is also a must one provides clothing and shelter for them. What does that mean, right? Let's read it again in Arabic. It says, Babu nafaqa tajibu ala zawji lizawja. The first person that the man must spend upon is his actual wife. So there is no, well, I don't have to give you any money. There is no, I don't owe you any money. There's none of that. Unless it is some type of situation or arrangement or agreement in which they both agree, according to some scholars. And the woman says, marry me, you don't have to pay my bills. Marry me, you don't have to pay my rent or my mortgage. Whatever it is. Marry me, you don't have to buy me food. You don't have to, I have enough money. I'm wealthy, I work more, I make more money than you do. I like you as a man, I want to be your husband. I want you to be my wife. Slow Steve and Steve, Or maybe the woman wants to what? Be the husband too. Mumkin. Allah mustaan. Al-Muhim, she says, I want you to be my husband. I want to be your wife, right? Right? Is that permissible? Can a woman alleviate herself from her basic haqq? Is that permissible? Or she says, just pay my rent. That's it. Or just buy me this, or take care of this, or handle this amount, or give me half, whatever it is. But if that's not the case, the default asl is that the man must spend upon his wife, his zawja, his zawj. He has to spend upon her. It's not an option. How much money does he have to give her? How often, how frequent is not explained here. All right, we'll get there, inshallah. He says, وَالْمُطَلَّقَةِ رَجْعِيًّا. And a woman that can be taken back, meaning it was only the first talaq or the second talaq. She's in an iddah period, he can still take her back. So she's waiting for 3 menstrual cycles or 3 months. She's supposed to be in his house as well. He is supposed to feed her, clothe her, take care of her like nothing else has happened. Everyone understand this? He still has to give her nafaqah, spend on her. La ba'inan. Not a woman who is ba'ina. A woman who has been divorced 3 times. In which there's no what? Taking back. You can't take her back. Moving forward. وَلَا فِي عِدَّةِ الْوَفَاءِ, nor for the iddah of death, a widower. The iddah of death. There is no what? There's no nafaqah obligatory. Where would the nafaqah be taken from? He says, لا في عدة الوفاء فلا نفقة ولا سكنى إلا أن تكون حاملتين. He says here, so there is no nafaqah, there's no lodging, no house, no apartment, or whatever, tent, wiki up, yurt, whatever you want to call it, unless the woman are what? Marquee, pregnant. Unless they're what? Unless they're pregnant. If they're pregnant, then there's nafaqah. Everyone understand this? So a woman, her husband dies. Everyone understand this? That's one thing. A woman has been divorced 3 times, so on and so forth, but she's what? She's pregnant. Then there has to be nafaqah. There has to be spending. There has to be spending. Moving forward. وَتَجِبُ عَلَى الْوَالِدِ الْمُوسِرِ لِوَلَدِهِ الْمُؤْسِرِ. Then he stops talking about women. He says if there's a father who has wealth and his son is poor, his father must spend upon his son. The father has to take care of and provide for the son if the son is poor and the father is wealthy. Everyone understand this? If the father is wealthy. He says, walaks, an exact opposite. The son is making money, the father has no money. The son has to do what? Spend on the father. وَعَلَى السَّيِّدِ لِمَنْ يَمْلِكْ, and the master for anyone whom he possesses. He's also in charge of spending on them. طيب. As far as relatives, family members, he says, وَلَا تَجِبُ عَلَى الْقَرِيبِ لِقَرِيبِهِ إِلَّا مَنْ بَابِ سِلَةِ الرَّحْمِ الْمَشْرُوعَةِ. You don't have to spend on any relatives unless you just want to do good. You want to do good. You want to spend on those of your kin and your kith, but it's not necessarily what? Obligatory. An aunt, an aunt, a cousin, uncle, so on and so forth. Everyone understand this? Islamically, culturally, different story. Right? He says, وَمَنْ وَجَبَتْ نَفَقَتُهُ وَجَبَتْ كِسْوَتُهُ وَسُكْنَاهُ. And anyone that you have to give money to, you also have to clothe and lodge. Clothe and lodge. So we have 3 aspects here, guys. 3 pieces. One is nafaqah, one is kiswa, and one is sukna. They aren't the same according to the author. Meaning, a man just can't put his wife in a house, dress her, clothe her, feed her, without what? Give him that cheese. You got to give up the money too. Everyone understand this? And that's a major problem that many husbands and wives they have. Husband says, listen, don't ask me for no money. SubhanAllah, Karima, you're not getting no money from me. You have a house that's warm, right? You have food in the fridge, food in your deep freezer, right? You have 1 pair of shoes, 1 overgarment, 1 niqab, 1 gloves, 1 jacket, if that, and that's what? That's khalas, best. There's nothing else that you're getting. She calls the good brother Imam, Assalamu alaikum, my husband Kareem, he won't what? He won't spend any money. So what does the Imam do, brother Imam? What is he supposed to say to brother Kareem now? You got to give up that what? You got a full circle, huh? You got to spin, all right? Tell you, according to the author. So if the sister had this book in her home, she could say what? Bang. Now, right? Here you go, Kareem. Imam Shokan, he said what? Clothing and housing aren't what? Are not the same. All right, let's see what it says in the sharh here in English. It says here, explanation. He says, as for the obligation of the husband to spend over his wife, I am not aware of any controversy regarding that. Meaning khilaf. There's no difference among the scholars that this is something which is what? Mandatory. This is an obligation as stated by the Quran. Allah the Almighty says, وَارْزُقُوهُمْ فِيهَا وَاكْسُوهُمْ. Surah An-Nisa. Allah says, but feed and clothe them therewith. Clear or not? Feed and what? Clothe them therewith. Everyone understand this? He says Al-Mawzu'i هكذا in his tafsir named Badr at-Tamam fi al-Ayat wal-Ahkam did say the verse indicated what we intended. He said that ayah is pertaining to women being taken care of. Another proof is the permission given by the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Hind bint Utbah radiyallahu anhuma or anha that she could take from her husband's wealth, Abu Sufyan, without his knowledge, that she would suffice her and her children with goodness. The report is in the Sahihain and some other works. So no, the hadith is daif. Everyone understand this? So the Prophet allowed the woman to do what? To steal. She went to the Prophet and she complained. She says that my husband is cheap. That's what she said. He's cheap. He doesn't give me what suffices me and my children. The Prophet said what? خُذِي مِن مَالِكِ خُذِي مِن مَالِي مَا يَكْفِيكِ وَلَدَكِ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. He says, take that which suffices you and your children in an honorable way. So the Prophet, how could he allow a wealth of a Muslim to be what? Stolen, unless him spending on his wife was what? Mandatory. You understand the point? Hey, we got the point or not? So there's no dispute here. You gotta what? Give up what? Gotta pay. That's the bottom line. Everyone understand this? Moving forward. The Messenger of Allah also, when he was asked as regarding the right of the wife upon her husband, said, أن تطعمها إذا طعمت وتكسوها إذا اكتسيت. That you feed her when you feed yourself, or when you can feed yourself, and clothe her when you can provide clothing for yourself. The hadith is recorded with the collectors of Sunan and other collectors. So if your wife is naked and you have on clothes, you have not fulfilled your what? Your duties as a husband. You have to provide for her. You have to give her water, food, drink, and of course according to your what? According to your means. As for the obligation of spending over a divorced wife in a revocable divorce, the proof of that is the hadith of Fatima bint Qais radiallahu anha, that the Prophet ﷺ said to her, إِنَّمَا النَّفَقَةُ وَالسُّكْنَةُ لِلْمَرْأَةِ إِذَا كَانَ لِزَوْجِهَا عَلَيْهَا الرَّجْعَةُ. Provision of alimony and shelter is for a divorced woman whom her husband still has the opportunity to call back. Meaning, if his third divorce is what? But there's only one or two divorces then? هذا هو. Ahmed and Nasa'i recorded the hadith. In the version of Ahmed, it goes thus. فَإِذَا لَمْ يَكُنْ عَلَيْهَا رَجْعَةٌ فَلَا نَفَقَةَ وَلَا سُكْنَةٌ. If she cannot be returned, then there is neither alimony nor shelter for her. There is one Mujalid ibn Sa'id in the chain. There is another supportive chain for it, but the hadith has been faulted as being mawquf. Meanwhile, that it says, etc. It then says, the Quran established shelter for her. Allah the Almighty said, يَا أَيُّهَا النَّبِيُّ إِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ فَطَلِّقُوهُنَّ لِعِدَّتِهِنَّ وَأَحْصُوا الْعِدَّةَ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ رَبَّكُمْ لَا تُخْرِجُوهُنَّ مِنْ بُيُوتِهِنَّ. O Prophet, when you divorce women, divorce them at their iddah, and count their iddah, and fear Allah your Lord, and turn them not out of their homes. Turn them not what? Out of their homes. That's the proof and evidence that they have to be provided with shelter. The prohibition is understood to mean the women must not be removed from their husbands' homes, and that is incumbent that she is spent on. So also the shelter. The word of Allah, the Almighty, also gives support to that. أَسْكِنُوهُنَّ مِنْ حَيْثُ سَكَنْتُم مِّن وُجْدِكُمْ. Lodge them where you dwell. Lodge them what? This is what? This is scripture. Everyone understand this is what? This is scripture. Not this. This is right from the Quran. Lodge them where you what? Where you lodge yourselves. While this other statement indicates the obligation of spending over her, وَلِلْمُطَلَّقَاتِ مَتَاعًا بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Allah says, 2:241, and for divorced women, maintenance on reasonable scale. وَلِلْمُطَلَّقَاتِ, women that are mutallaqa, divorced, they have to be what? مَتَاعٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, in an honorable way. They have to be spent upon. But this word of Allah the Almighty in the end of the first verse, لَعَلَّ اللَّهُ يُحْدِثُ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ أَمْرًا. It may be that Allah will afterward bring some new thing to pass. You don't know. You may reconcile. You may think about it. She may get back with you. Whatever the case may be, right? What Allah refers to in the verse is the possibility that the husband could return his wife, of course, in a revocable divorce. Tayyib, moving forward. Tayyib, he mentions more ahadith, more ayat, okay? With regards to the obligation, he says, it is also understood from the conditional statement, tayyib, moving forward. Then he talks about the father and the son and the father. Everyone understand this so far? Khayran, inshallah. Now, a few issues are how much money has to be given to the wife. How much money? How much money does he have to give her? Is there a limit or a level?
Enough for her to be 10-10.
Within the means of the man. Okay? What you say? You agree?
Within the means that would suffice for her.
that would suffice her. Tell you, everybody agree on this? Is there a limit or a cap? Nisab bil ma'ruf, ya akhi. That which is known. The literal translation of ma'ruf is what? Known. Honorable, this and that. But what? Ma'ruf literally means what? Known. It's well known that I need what? Dot. If you want your food to taste good. If you want me to look nice when you come home. You want me to look like I came out of the grave? Or you want to see me and what? Pass out and go to the grave. Everyone understand this? It's a huge difference between the two. And many husbands, they complain. What is this food? We had beans and rice last night. You made me oodles and noodles and hot dogs in the microwave. Sister Karima, she says, what? Well, you didn't what? You gave me money for what? Oodles and noodles and hot dogs. Bring home some ribeyes from the halal market, some lamb chops, some Thai jasmine rice, some sockeye salmon, and you may what? You may get better, yahi. So you get what you what? What you give. Everyone understand this? So providing for the woman is going to be based off of, first and foremost, the brother mentioned, the man's means. That's number one. His means. Number two, that which is ma'ruf. That which is known and understood according to the time, the place, the society, the culture, etc. Everyone understand this? Where I come from, you can't just give your wife beans and rice. Any man that gave his wife beans and rice and he's wearing $300 socks, not shoes, socks, right? $10,000 watch, $50,000 card, blah, 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 whatever the extravagant, luxurious, all types of name brands. Your wife is eating beans and rice. He's considered to be a terrible husband. A terrible husband. Everyone understand this? Now, and if that's all you have, that's the best that you can do, there's no sin upon you. But who's living like that in 2019 in New York City or Philadelphia or Patterson, New Jersey or Newark or wherever you are? Who's living like that? I mean, who? Who, Ahi? Who's literally eating beans and rice every night because that's the only thing they can afford? Some people, maybe, for sure. But we talking about the people that we know. The brother that got on a what? $500 shoe, $1,500, right? Terabyte, this and that, so on and so forth. 500 gigs. And he says, this is what? It's all I can provide for you, bin ma'ruf. Everyone understand this? So it's unfortunate many husbands are oppressive. And many husbands, they are very tyrannical. And many of them, it's one thing if you're just cheap. It's one thing if you have some traumatic issues when you were younger, you were abused by your mom, you never trust women, that's one thing. But to legitimize you being a miser and a cheapskate, that's terrible. And many brothers, they do this. Oh, Imam Ahmed said this, Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, kada, Zuhri wouldn't eat beans until his feet split open, kada, so therefore we have beans and rice. I'm following the Salaf. I'm practicing zuhd. What zuhd is it for you to have a what? An iPhone, what's the 11 Max Plus. How much is the outer box for it? What, 200? Everyone understand this? The games that men play, right? Your sweater alone costs how much? Your scarf, your shoes, your socks. You go outside, what do you eat? What do you drink? So many brothers, they do oppress their wives and they try to justify their oppression through Islam. That's horrible. If you're living that zuhd, the lifestyle, truly, and you don't want to eat meat, you can't afford it, and you want your wife to live that lifestyle, this worldly life is for the kuffar, mashallah, I salute you. Wallahi, mashallah. But if you're not living that lifestyle, and you're faking the funk, you're pretending to be somebody that you're not, shame on you. And know for sure that you will be punished by Allah for disrespecting and dishonoring that Muslim woman. Everyone understand this? So you have to fear Allah, brothers. It's not okay, right? So first and foremost is a man's means. And if the man is obligated to spend out of his means, then a woman should never ask for anything unreasonable. A woman should not ask or wish or beg for anything that she knows is out of her husband's budget. Everyone understand this? Secondly, it is based off of the custom, the time and the place in which you are. A dinner normally consists of 3 courses, rice, vegetables, some type of meat, bread, salad, some type of juice, a simple dessert. It doesn't have to be an extravagant dessert, basic, simple thing. That's where we come from. Breakfast, oatmeal, eggs, pancakes, waffles, blah, 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 blah. Lunch, something in which you eat and you're full. That's the custom and tradition of the people. Not being a spendthrift, being wasteful, nor you finish the meal and you're still hungry. Or something that's very, very, very poor, the quality of it. So it depends on the time and the what? And the place. And this is one of the reasons why some of the ulama, as we've explained before, say a rich man should not marry a poor woman. Or a poor man should not marry a rich woman, vice versa. That's because there's going to be clash with regards to what is ma'ruf. Ma'ruf to you or ma'ruf to me. Where I come from, we have this for breakfast. This is nothing. Where you come from, such and such. We may spend $500 on one meal, and that's nothing. That's not extravagance. My customs. $500 may suffice you for what? Entire month, 2-3 months. So whose standard will we what? Go by. Everyone understand some of these problems that can take place? And there are many arguments that come forth just because of understanding when it comes to money, and budgeting and so on and so forth. Moving forward. So we have the husband's ability, we have the custom, the tradition of the people, right? As long as it isn't an extravagant custom, a custom of wastefulness and spendthriftness, nah. Tell you, how often does a man have to give the money to the woman? How often? Every week? Every month? Give her an allowance? Is he allowed to not give her any money if she works? These are all issues that what? Pertain to this. My humble opinion, and Allah knows best, I don't think there are going to be too many arguments if both the husband and the wife are reasonable. Reasonable. They're trying to fear Allah. They're trying to do the right thing. They want to be with each other, and they're trying to be reasonable. In most cases, the arguments about money, about time, about this and that comes from one of the two spouses not being reasonable. Asking for too much. Expecting too much. Giving something that you wouldn't take yourself. People being unrealistic. Asking someone that is beyond their limit. Everyone understand this? So if everyone's reasonable, there are going to be arguments. There are going to be mistakes. There are going to be faults. But in general, it's not going to be what? Craziness. You'd be shocked the stories I could tell you, People call my phone or walk into the masjid or an office about husbands and wives. And people just refuse except just to be unreasonable. They just want to do things that are difficult and impossible and unrealistic with regards to time, with regards to money, etc. Khairan, inshallah, moving forward. Now, the next question is, Khalid, can a father take a son's wealth, his son's wealth?
Same thing you said, if it's not unreasonable.
If it isn't unreasonable, give me an example of an unreasonable request from your father.
Can I want $50?
That's unreasonable?
No, that's
No, unreasonable.
anything over.
Unreasonable.
Unreasonable.
Give me your whole paycheck.
Yeah,
Everything that you made all week long. You worked how many hours this week?
40 hours.
50. Overtime, 60. I want what? Kullu shay. Abi, jazakallah khairan. The Prophet says, Anta wa maluka li abika. You and your wealth belong to your father. Right? So that's an example of something which is unreasonable. Another example of something that's unreasonable would be what? Buy me a car. Unreasonable? You think so? You think that's unreasonable, Mukhtar?
$40,000 car.
You think that's unreasonable? A phantom? Depending on the means. So what if the son has the money? Then it's not what? It's not unreasonable.
But if he's taking the MTA to work every day, and you tell him about a car.
He's taking the MTA to work every day or school. Tayyib, khair inshallah. All right. Can I borrow $50, son? Or I need a car for the weekend, or I need you to help out with the rent this week, this month, so on and something like that. Everyone understand this? Son, I raised you. Know for sure, son. Everything that you're doing now is what? Right? So just know that. But I'm not going to what? I'm not going to do that to you. Or father, he says, son, things are very, very slow this month. Very bad. I got injured. My back is hurt. I need to borrow $10,000. And the son says, sure, let's go to the bank. They get to the bank. The father says, what? You did well, son. I just want to see if you're going to do it. Or what? Father says, Jazakallah khair. Understand this? And of course, it's based off of the time, the place, and the means of the son. Everyone understand this? $10,000 is not a lot of money for some people. Many people, it's jump change. And some people, that's what? A lifetime saving. It depends on who you are. All right? So a father being poor, being taken care of by his son, and a son who's poor being taken care of by his what? Father. Is there a specific age?
No.
What do you think the author's talking about? You think he's talking about an age here, or you think he's talking about a little young child? Grown man, you think? Why is that? Somebody who's young would automatically be what? Understood. Let alone if they're young, they can't take care of their father. So in most cases, he's talking about someone who's own, who's grown. Right? Now, something happens, a son is poor, versus the father felt in raising a responsible young man. Big difference between the two. Khairan inshallah. Moving forward. Kiswa. Clothes. What's meant by clothes? What clothes does the husband have to provide for the woman? What's included in the word kiswa? Clothing. Shoes. What else? Hijab. Something that she can pray in, even if she doesn't leave the house. What else? Socks, under things. What else? A purse, a bag. Okay, mashallah, good answer. What else? Niqab, pajamas, anything that's considered kiswa, based off of the means and the what's known. All right, we understand this? So a person doesn't have a lot of money to give his wife, versus a man does have a lot of money. Right? Where I come from, this is how we dress. Where I come from, your wardrobe could start what? Socks, wintertime, long johns, thermals, pajamas, lingerie, nightgown, this, swimming clothes, kullu shay. That's all included in what? Kiswa. But it's never ever a difficulty or hardship, and that's because it's based off of what? What's known in the man's means. You have Walmart, and then you have Neiman Marcus, or Fashion Nova, or Victoria's Secret. Allahu Akbar. Everyone understand this? Tayyib? Hada huwa. So there's never ever a hardship. I can't afford that. It's no hardship. Simple. You can buy a pair of socks that cost $2 at Walmart. Keep your feet warm. Keep your feet dry. And you can buy a pair of socks that cost what? $50 for one pair of socks. You buy a $40 bottle of shampoo. Or you can buy what? 99 cents. What's it called? VO5. What is it? Right? Kiwi melon. Right? So Islam is never a difficulty and it's never a hardship. And these issues and these matters, brothers and sisters, they should never ever prevent you from getting married. Should never prevent you from getting married. Everyone understand this? It should never stop you. If you think about budgeting, and if you think about what you can do to survive, you can do it. If you got a basic job, you work, you can survive. Allah will take care of you. Everything doesn't have to be extravagant. Everything doesn't have to be this brand name and that brand name and fancy and flashy. It doesn't have to be like that. And shaitan, Allah tells us, "Ash-shaytanu ya'idukum al-faqr wa ya'murukum bil-fahsha." Allah tells us that Satan threatens you with poverty and commands you to do things which are illicit and illegal. So just think about what we talked about last night when Umar radiallahu anhu said to the man, I see that the shaitan has what? Cast something into your heart. You can be scared and afraid of getting married thinking that you have to have $1 million, which you don't necessarily what? Have to. Unless it's your culture. That's a different story, huh? Gold, wedding hall, walima, food, family members, relatives. And this is why many young brothers and sisters are not married. Because of the walls that the parents have built up around their children, unfortunately. College debt. I'm taking on your paycheck every week. Allahumma musta'an. May Allah rectify us as Muslims. Khair, inshallah, we'll stop here tonight. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best and is the one whom we ask for our success.